Almost ran out of breath. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BucketCast, a podcast where we talk Magic the Gathering, cannabis, and much, much more. Before we begin, if you could please follow or subscribe, whatever platform you're on between YouTube and Instagram, I'd really, really appreciate that. Like and comment your opinions and thoughts on the topic I'm going to discuss here, which we are about to get into right now. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Today, I'm enjoying Banana Belts by Rig Flair.
Wonderful sativa dominant profile, excellent banana taste to it, really hits your head nice, body well. It's banana strains always have a special place in my heart. Get that potassium. Potassium. I'm gonna stop now. All right. So for episode 3, I thought we'd do something a little personal to me. Got my engine restarted. All right, there we go. I thought we'd do something, personal and special to me. We're going to talk about my personal experience with autism. I was diagnosed when I was 5-6 years old. I don't know what I was doing at that age that made my parents get the eye for that, but they're both medical professionals, so good on them for spotting it when they did. Not that it's like a deadly disease or anything, but always good to pick up early. From that point, I was told by doctors, by most people, that I was up front. I was going to be different. I was going to deal with as much as you could tell a child, in that sense that you're going to deal with a lot of difference. I remember the doctor saying, you're not going to drive, you're not going to, not literally to my face, looking at the 3-year-old or 5-year-old, whatever age I'm talking about, and just saying, you're not going to drive, you're not going to do shit. I'll send you the bill later. That's not what he did. It was, but they talk to my parents. They'd say, at least at that point, like the late 90s or early 90s, it was, he may probably not work a job like everyone else, probably not drive. You're gonna have to set your expectations different from him. All things I've disproven all through my life. But we'll get to that later. So that was around like the age of 5 or 6, and after that was the next step in my eyes was first grade. It's everyone's real big first social step on their own, in my eyes. Preschool and things like that, it's not like first grade you're making a grand big step, but at the same time, at least in the 90s, your parents set you off, you walked on your own, and you were your own person other than the supervision and whatnot. And, I'm not trying to make it seem like American schools are hard knocks or whatever, but just looking at it as it is compared to today and in the past. But, so, that first go of it without having, a parent there to, guide me and really set my expectations as I needed them to at that time. There was definitely a lot of wake-ups that, not wake-ups, I can't even say that. There was just a lot of experiences, ups and downs within first grade. I remember having my first crush in first grade, and that just, that with autism doesn't mix well at all. You get, no. But you get over it. But brain broke there. Yeah, that led from first grade to second grade, third grade, most of, more of the same social experiences, I'd say treading the same water, if you will. It wasn't really, I feel like, I made my next meaningful, I'll call it autistic evolution, until about like 7th grade, maybe 8th grade. Because that's when the social situations got more teen-like. I feel weird saying that, but that's the only way I know how to put it. You went from, your child activities to, we're starting to mature. We're starting to go through puberty and whatnot, and various other factors. So present that to someone with autism, and that's an interesting ride altogether. You're getting a lot of talks and a lot of shoulder pats. Not fun. But yeah, that was, and that evolution there really, as far as 7th, 8th grade, was really just, I guess, conforming in a lot of ways. That's really all I knew how to do at that point. I didn't really do it well. It wasn't, my interests were Pokemon and Digimon and, nerdy things and things like that, which were still kind of looked upon weirdly publicly by people, kids. It wasn't as widely as accepted as it is today. Weird saying that.
Hey, Pokemon wasn't as widely as accepted as it was. Pokemon is more widely accepted today than it was back then. Let me tell you what. You tell people you had a Pikachu, they give you a funny look, and they'd probably throw you in a cage.
That didn't happen on a cage for talking about Pikachu or any Pokemon. Yeah, so and there were a lot of moments throughout
8th grade, it would stick with me because they were, I think benchmarks that I look back on and noticed later in my life as I became more aware through my autism. And I also remember 8th grade because that was the first real big field trip that we did away for a weekend as a school. So, just being away with all your classmates off school grounds with your friends in a hotel room. It experiences like that were a mixed bag for me. They definitely were. But the 8th grade was, if you think about it, that's like your senior year in high school in a way for some people, because they're moving to a completely different school. Not completely different, but a different school than their 4th through 8th. But that's how I viewed it anyway. I don't know. But anyway, that's enough to talk about that part. And then high school came. And, high school wasn't fun. It wasn't. I'll preface it this way. Before I had to move to boarding school, and even then it wasn't really that fun either. I was freshman and sophomore year, half of my freshman year I spent at my town's high school. And then I had to go to a boarding school, which wasn't fun. Let me give you a little backdrop about this boarding school. You were checked when you got there, your pockets, suitcases and everything. There was firewalls on the internet. You weren't allowed to have your phone. It was very, very strict. It was very, very strict. And as you can imagine, with schools with those kind of rules, there's a certain kind of populace that attends that school. People that have misbehaved or done worse, and now are there. And I definitely picked up on that vibe right away. At the school when I not visiting, of course. It was only when I got there and, had committed to, living there that I realized all that, and it felt terrible. It felt awful. But it was that terrible, awful feeling that gave me the wake-up call. You talk about fight or flight throughout your life, or, just throughout life in general. And this was definitely one of those moments that, a piece of my brain is much more active now than it was back then. Woke up and said, hey, what? He's like, if you don't straighten up your act and, act normal, you're going to get your ass kicked. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get on that. And it was a lot of observing, taking notes mentally, less becoming comfortable with myself, not out of choice, just, it wasn't the thing that happened at that point. I definitely came into comfort with myself in a lot of ways, but nowhere near where I am now. And that was that fight or flight moment was I feel like, in my opinion, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be anywhere near as functional or as sociable as I am now. And it sticks with me. It sticks with me because you didn't do this wasn't a boarding school for the gifted, the brightest and whatnot. Not that there weren't smart kids there. God, I remember there was a kid there who got kicked out. He could memorize one of the staff members' credit cards within 15 seconds. It was terrifying. A lot of weird kids at that school. A lot of good people and fun people and people I have a lot of fond memories with. But I mean, I'm weird, so I'll say that much. I was weird. I attended that school, but there were some weird. That's that aside altogether. That being said, like I said, I had good memories with a lot of people there. But like I said, it was an environment that created a fight or flight in me that knew that if I continued as unaware and socially inept as I was then, I was not going to survive at all. Not well. That's just plain and simple. So that really from there gave me the guide work of just learning how to be what someone would call a non-neurotypical human being, which I don't think exists. The standard. What I learned to mask more. Not mask. That sounds like I'm hiding depression. Even if I say it'll be alright. I learned how to make me work. That's what I learned how to do. And in a lot of ways, my interests panned out into, we talked about earlier, Pokemon, nerdy stuff like that. Definitely more socially acceptable now, so it's a lot easier. Not that I'm into Pokemon anymore. I like it. It's definitely something I'll root for, but that's a topic for another video. It's so much to wrap up about my autism in one video. Just to wrap it up for this one, I will just say that whether you find out you have autism early in life or late in life, you're gonna find comfort with yourself. You're gonna find your way. That's the best way I can describe it. I feel like and again, it's not that easy for everyone. There's not everyone at the high functioning autistic level, but I have faith. And that's the BucketCast, episode 3, on an intro to my autism. Eat cake.